A woman named Barbara, who is an accountant, is driving at high speed. She has a cake with her and she's singing along to the car's music. A call comes in from her boyfriend Horatio. She pretends that her car broke down, and there's no mechanic to help her fix the car, which means she will not have the opportunity to be the first to wish him a happy birthday. He believes her, and immediately the call ends. She kicks the air in excitement as she's able to convince him with her excuse, and her surprise will be a success. Barbara returns to her car and continues her journey after safely tucking the cake so it doesn't fall off the seat. She arrives in town late in the night, gets into the apartment, and decorates the cake to wish him a happy birthday. She makes her way to the bedroom only to hear the sound of a woman moaning. She almost misses a step, but she summons the courage to go in. Thankfully, it's just the TV. Barbara smiles and wishes him a happy 50th birthday with kisses and hugs. Behind her, Horatio quickly signals his lover to leave while holding on to her tightly. Suddenly a thud is heard, followed by screams reaching the room. Barbara runs out to check only to find Emilio from their human resource department in her house. Horatio attempts to cover up their affair, but it's too late. Barbara gets a knife and menacingly walks down the staircase to meet them. She now understands why Emilio kept her away in the voluntary retreat the whole time. She threatens to cut off their genitals if they don't get out of her house right away. She comes back to console herself while blaming it all on Horatio. Suddenly she pulls the curtain to find a lady co-worker from the administration department and another lady co-worker from the customer service department, both in their underwear. Her supposedly happy night turns into a nightmare. A few minutes later, Eva and Matthias, Barbara's friends, are awakened by their doorbell blaring. After finding out it's Barbara, Eva immediately suspects Horatio must have done something to upset her. Matthias feels it's wrong for her to come wake them up in the middle of the night, but his wife is not going to turn her friend away. Matthias takes Vito, their dog, with him, while Eva accommodates her friend. Barbara comes in crying and narrates everything that happened with Horatio. Her friend comforts her and arranges a room for her to spend the night. Not quite long after Eva gets back to bed with her husband, Barbara comes back requesting to stay in their room as she can't sleep alone. Matthias grudgingly excuses the ladies and goes to sleep in the living room. The next day, Matthias is playing with his friend Julian at the tennis court. Julian's attention is caught by two ladies who are there to play as well. He engages in a conversation with them, and all four of them soon start playing until one of the ladies accidentally hits Matthias's nose with the tennis ball. Meanwhile, Barbara comes to where Eva works as an architect. She informs her friend that she's resigning as she can't continue working in the same place as Emilio. She still feels hurt after traveling miles to Horatio's childhood bakery to get him a birthday cake, only for him to be cheating on her. Eva tries to get Barbara's mind off Horatio and focus on her restaurant, especially her building plan for the restaurant. However, she won't even listen to what Eva wants to say. She keeps talking about how she attracts all the worst men possible in the world. Eva makes a deal with her to help her find a good guy, which she agrees to. Let's hope it works out. Later, Eva's colleague, Tito, who has a huge crush on her, approaches to ask her when they are going to stop denying the thing going on between them. He wants to take her out for dinner. Eva is busy and needs to attend to a call, so she fixes a lunch date with him before taking off. At the tennis court, Claudia, the woman who hit Matthias's nose, seems to have taken a liking to him, while Julian is struggling to get the attention of Claudia's friend. He even talks about being a banker at the World Bank, just to get her to talk to him, but the lady, who is a lawyer, is not impressed by him at all. Eva is running late for an appointment she has with a doctor at the hospital. She and Matthias are struggling to have a child, and it's becoming quite a worry to them. Unfortunately, the doctor tells her that the treatments are not working, and he says he will need to begin another study and treatment for them. After the meeting with the doctor, Matthias and Eva get into a little argument. She's not ready to begin another treatment, so both of them agree to take a break for some time. The next day, Matthias comes home with Julian, whom he introduces to his wife, before rushing upstairs to go pick something up so they can head to the tennis court. Eva and Julian start talking, and she soon finds out some interesting things about him. He asks to take a look at her designs, and it suddenly occurs to her that she can set him up with Barbara. She asks him many more questions about himself in a bid to know if he's a good fit for her. Matthias comes down and drags his friend away, but not before Eva succeeds in inviting Julian over to dinner on Friday night. She rushes over to the window and takes some pictures of Julian before they get into the car. A smile of satisfaction soon crawls on her lips. Let's see how this matchmaking plan turns out. When she meets up with her friend and informs her about the dinner date, Barbara is hesitant about it. She feels Julian is not her type. Eva tries to convince her to give Julian a try. Friday night comes and Barbara is all dolled up, thanks to Eva. Julian is running late and Barbara is so nervous already. The couple isn't even helping as Matthias keeps asking questions about her contact lens. Julian eventually shows up and they all sit for dinner. They get to discuss more about themselves, and Julian is quite impressed to find out that Barbara is into organic food. He promises to be her client because he loves eating healthy. The conversations last all through the dinner until it's time for Barbara and Julian to take their leave. Matthias and his wife see them out, and Julian offers to drop Barbara off at her home. The couple bids the two of them goodbye, while concluding that they will definitely end up in bed. Well, they guessed absolutely right. It seems that both Matthias and Eva need some private time. Matthias kisses her passionately, but it seems she's more interested in finding out what's fishy about Julian. So he simply lies on the bed and leaves her alone. The following day, Eva stops by Tito's place for the promised lunch date. Things are going quite well until her finger gets stuck in the wine bottle while she is trying to open it. Tito comes to help her get the finger out, and after he succeeds, he plants a kiss on her lips. She initially resists but soon grabs him for a second round almost immediately. Tito grabs her and throws her on the bed. The both of them suddenly experience a strange fire burning in their loins as they begin to devour each other ferociously. Meanwhile, Claudia drops by Matthias's office where he sells cars. She seems to have fallen in love with him, and she just can't stop thinking about him since the other day. Matthias welcomes her and takes her around the garage to check out some sports cars. Claudia sees a car she likes and they both get in. She tries flirting with him, but he ignores her advances until he can no longer ignore her. He gives her the car keys and asks her to drive them out of the garage. After their heated session, Eva leaves Tito's place after they agree to go skydiving on the weekend. She gets into her car and sprays some fragrance on her body in a bid to douse Tito's smell from her body. As she's about to drive, she realizes that the World Bank is right in front of her, so she gets down and decides to check for Julian. Later, she stops by her husband's office and notices his hair is wet. Matthias covers it up, so she goes on to reveal her concern about Julian because she found out that he doesn't work in the World Bank. Matthias perceives a different smell from her body, but she claims it's from the construction site where they prepared some barbecue. Eva complains and shouts as she expresses her concerns over Julian, who might just be deceiving all of them, and what's more important is that he doesn't exist on the internet. Matthias's workers are beginning to stare at the couple as Eva makes a scene. Her husband drags her into his office and informs her that he's going to clear all doubts there and then. He calls Julian and hands the phone to Eva after informing him that she has a few questions for him. Eva can't ask him exactly what's on her mind, so she switches the topic and asks that all four of them hang out again. Matthias isn't concerned about what Julian does, because he has helped him sell about 3 cars without asking for a commission or anything. He decides to confirm the sector Julian works in at the World Bank, so that Eva can give him some peace. Matthias fixes a tennis date with his friend and brings the call to an end. He informs Eva that Julian works as an external consultant, so she should quit pestering him. Friday evening comes and all 4 of them hang out in a bar somewhere in town. Eva is still not convinced about Julian. She plans to find out every detail about him so her friend doesn't fall into the wrong hands. Meanwhile, Barbara is enjoying this new thing she has with Julian, and he's quite fun to be with. They dance for some time before going to take their seats. Eva is still looking at him suspiciously. Barbara then reveals that Julian will be moving in with her because he's renovating his house. This raises more suspicions. It doesn't make sense to Eva as Julian claims he bought the house a long time ago, before he became a widower. Matthias and his wife watch the two of them as they act all lovey-dovey and kissing each other hungrily. Eva excuses herself to go use the restroom, and she sneakily takes Julian's wallet with her. Her husband excuses himself and follows behind her. She takes snapshots of Julian's cards. Matthias sees this and reprimands her for stealing his friend's wallet, but she insists that something doesn't add up with Julian, who has no single credit card to his name. Later that night, Eva takes the wheels and proceeds to drive them home. They begin to contemplate the reasons why Julian has so many identities and lots of cash in his wallet. They consider the possibility of him being a spy, substance dealer, or even a con artist. That's the only logical explanation they can come up with. At least Eva noticed, unlike Matthias, who's just glad that Julian is assisting him with the sales of cars. Eva parks the car and gets down to check out the vicinity where Julian claims he lives. Her husband calls out to her, but she's gone already. A few minutes later, she comes back panting and reveals that she's scared of Julian because there are no houses around, only commercial buildings. The next day, Matthias starts giving his wife's suspicions some thought. He speaks with Luis, one of the car purchasers whom Julian introduced to him, and he's surprised to hear that Julian has a family in Bergamo. Everything this man is revealing about Julian is entirely different from what he knows about this strange friend of his. At Eva's workplace, Barbara comes around and she's thanking Eva for connecting her with a good man like Julian. Eva tries to discourage her friend from letting Julian move into her apartment just yet, but Barbara feels there's no harm in it. After all, he's a good guy, and he's Matthias's friend. Meanwhile, Tito walks in when the ladies are conversing. He goes behind Barbara and starts making flirty gestures that make Eva occasionally distracted from their conversation. Later, Matthias is at the tennis court playing some games with Julian. After they are done, he asks Julian about the things Luis told him, especially Julian's gun collection. Julian smartly denies everything and says his wife was from Bergamo, and not him. He assures Matthias that he understands their worry, especially because he's dating Barbara. However, they can trust him not to hurt her. They soon part ways. Matthias is trying to reach his wife on the phone when Claudia runs up to him and kisses his lips, expressing how much she misses him. He dismisses her and heads straight to meet Eva. The couple is now both thinking of what to do because Julian's story doesn't add up. Eva suggests some criminal plot, which Julian might be up to. She thinks that he might just be searching for his next victim, who he'll lock up in his basement while extorting her family for cash. They decide to investigate this strange guy. Let the investigation begin. They begin their mission the following day. Eva asks to borrow one of the sports cars Matthias have at work. Coincidentally, this is the same car Claudia loves. They track Julian's movement, and Claudia decides to unexpectedly show up. Matthias tries to dismiss her without drawing Eva's attention, but she won't leave. The moment Eva raises her seat, she runs away. Matthias lies that she's a tennis player, who he occasionally plays with at the tennis court. Julian comes out, and the couple makes sure to tail his car. They watch him walk over the street to get a burger. This is after he claims to Barbara that he is a vegetarian. Whenever Julian walks in their direction, the couple immediately starts kissing to prevent him from seeing their faces. They monitor him as he goes to sunbathe himself. Eva calls him asking if he's at work, and Julian, who is unaware he is being spied on, tells her he is at work. A while later, he proceeds to a bar carrying a box that Eva suspects contains a gun. Matthias volunteers to follow him inside the bar to see what he's going to do there. Eva soon joins him and together, they enter the bar thinking it is a mafia den or something, but they are stunned to find him playing a car racing game. Julian wins the game and he celebrates as he packs up his toy Camaro inside the briefcase. He turns his head in their direction, and the couple thinks he must have seen them. Eva and Matthias quickly run to their car, anxiously thinking of a sensible lie to tell in case Julian had seen them. He soon comes out of the bar and gets in his car unsuspectingly. They continue following behind him, until the point where he stops by to pick up some flowers. After following him all day, they watch him drive to Barbara's apartment. Eva brings out one of her many spy tools to help her hear Julian's conversation from a distance. She feels sorry for her friend who is with another stupid guy who will possibly break her heart again. Matthias suddenly gets out of the car and asks his wife to get behind the wheel. He quickly runs towards Barbara's door and picks up the letters Julian has thrown on the floor. Eva drives the car towards him, seeing Julian's shadow walking towards the door. Their mission is quite serious and fun, as Eva laughs her heart out, seeing how her husband is hanging on the car door, with half of his body outside and the other half inside. On getting back home, they go through the letters and find out that Julian is in serious debt and everything is in his wife's name, which is why he doesn't have a credit card. Eva reveals they need to get Barbara out of this mess before it gets out of control. Matthias stares at his wife lovingly and praises her for being a good friend. He kisses her lips lightly, and it seems the brief kiss ignites other things in their system. The following day, they come to visit Barbara at her restaurant, which she's trying to put in order. She excitedly informs them that Julian is even willing to invest in her business and be a partner. The couple are quite stunned hearing this, realizing their relationship is now getting deeper. They spill the truth about Julian, who has been lying to them about a lot of things, but it seems he has found a way to brainwash Barbara into having absolute trust in him because she defends every point they bring up. The trust suddenly disappears when they mention that Julian's wife is alive and not deceased. Barbara questions them as she knows that Matthias is his friend, and it is also Eva who told her that he's a good candidate for her. After telling her the truth, it's time to leave, but the detective in Eva craves for more. She tells her husband that they need to get to the bottom of Julian's lie castle. They are in Alicia Martelloni's address, the woman whom they suspect to be Julian's wife. The couple gets gadgets to further help them in their mission. They connect Eva's spy glasses to a device, so Matthias can keep his eyes and ears on the conversation Eva will be having with Julian's wife while sitting in the car. Eva rings the bell, and she's surprised to have a mature-looking woman open the door, who confirms she's Mrs. Martelloni. Alicia welcomes her in after claiming to be Julian's friend. Eva is just flabbergasted by how the woman is so excited and free-spirited. She takes a look around the house while the lady offers her something to eat. Alicia also keeps referring to her as Barbara. Eva excuses herself to go use the restroom, and then she sneaks into the rooms until she finds one that looks like Julian's. She sees a wedding photograph of him and Anna, his ex-wife. Alicia soon comes to find her, and she shares how Anna started losing weight after their honeymoon, and then she suddenly passed away 2 months later. Alicia clarifies that Anna is Martinioni, while she's Martelloni. Eva receives a text from her husband that Julian is around, and she needs to leave as soon as possible. She runs into the bathroom and Alicia goes downstairs to welcome her son. Eva uses the opportunity to run away through one of the rooms. She jumps down through the window only for Julian to give her a helping hand. Quite amusing, can't wait to see how this will turn out. His reaction upon seeing her is quite different from what she expected. She reveals that she's just ensuring he doesn't hurt her friend. Alicia soon comes out and pleads with them to come inside instead of arguing. Matthias runs over to meet them up. Alicia realizes that he's Eva's husband and begins to panic until she slumps as her blood pressure surges. They rush her to a hospital, and thankfully, the doctor puts her situation under control. Eva requests they forget anything ever happened, and Julian reveals that it's too late because Barbara broke up with him. He explains how he got kicked out of the bank because they were doing staff reduction and now he hasn't had a job for years. He had to go back and live with his mother because he was in a serious debt, from his head down to his toe. He reveals how he had told little lies to keep everything okay because of how people will treat a man like him who is in his 40s and unemployed. Unfortunately, everything gets screwed up. He accuses them of spying on him, even going as far as coming to his mother's house. He admits that he's actually fallen in love with Barbara, who unfortunately fell in love with his lies. He also tells them that he has given Barbara all his savings from the sale of his house to help with her business. The doctor comes to call him so he can check on his mom. Eva and her husband feel guilty for ruining things for him because it looks like he truly loves Barbara, and now he is in a spot where he doesn't know how to come out from all of this. They get back home later that night, and Barbara soon comes crying. Eva consoles her and offers her something to drink. She tries to convince her friend to see that Julian might have told a little lie with good intentions. She brings up certain scenarios in which Barbara had told a lie or two, including herself. Eva confesses that she had cheated on her husband with Tito, and Barbara is quite stunned. They talk in whispers as Barbara questions her, not knowing that Matthias is standing right at the entrance to the kitchen. When they realize that he's listening, Barbara excuses the couple to deal with their issues. Matthias points fingers at her, and just then, she reminds him of his affair with Claudia. She tells him that she's not stupid and knows he is also seeing another woman. Matthias goes silent. All of their little lies are now having a great negative effect on their relationship and marriage at this rate. Matthias walks out of their house. He goes to Julian's place where he can pass the night. The next day, Julian goes to apologize to Barbara. He loves her and he wants to fix their relationship. Later in the day at the tennis court, Claudia comes to meet Matthias, and he makes sure to set things straight with her once and for all. At Eva's office, Tito also makes romantic gestures and kisses her lips, but she pushes him away and asks him to stay away from her. Alicia, on the other hand, is very excited in finally meeting the real Barbara, whom her son brings home to her. She keeps Barbara laughing with all her funny gestures and talks about her younger self. Julian makes sure to tell Barbara the truth about himself. He shows her photographs from his first wedding to Anna and then takes her to the bar where he plays car racing games. Barbara enjoys his company, and she's having so much fun after accepting his truth. On the other hand, Eva and Matthias's relationship is hitting rock bottom. They are currently living separately. The couple is practically strangers to each other now, very much opposite to their once sweet and beautiful relationship. A few days later, Eva attends Barbara's restaurant's opening ceremony, and she's glad to see how people turn up for her friend. She sees Matthias at the event, but the both of them turn away and act like they are unaware of each other's presence. Barbara climbs up the stage and addresses everyone. She especially thanks her friend Eva, who believed in her even when she didn't believe in herself. She thanks Matthias also. Finally, she appreciates her associate and partner Julian, whom she calls to join her upstage. The party kicks off and everyone is dancing with their partners, but Eva isn't having the best of time. She exits the restaurant and Julian excuses himself to go push Matthias so he can reconcile with his wife. Matthias comes running and calls after Eva, who is now quite far from the restaurant. He catches up to her and invites her back to the restaurant so they can have a drink. As they are walking back, he confesses that he misses their detective mission. This gets Eva laughing because they almost ruined everything for Julian and Barbara. Thankfully, they still ended up together. Upon getting inside, they share a drink and begin to dance. Finally, the couple reconciles. After the event, Ava and Matthias go skydiving, which turns out to be one of her favorite sports. Glad that everything has fallen into place for these couples in the end.